Hey, welcome back to an episode of Instagram Podcast. I'm your host, Juan, and as always, my co-host here with me. Hey, Trip.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Just wanted to talk to you about something really quick before we start the episode.
Yeah.
What do you think of Mononoke, the show that we're reviewing this week?
It has its merits, and I'm going to tell you those merits later. Yeah. I feel like I don't want to say everything because I got a lot to say.
There is a lot to say.
Yeah, so I had a good time eventually with it. I don't think it's going to be for everybody. But yeah, stick around and you got to hear what we think about it.
This is one of those, like, you have to give it an honest go before you have a full opinion on it.
Also, I think it's beneficial if you're like an artsy person. Like, that's probably in your favor.
You need to have that. Otherwise, you're not going to have a great time.
You're not going to have a good time. You got to appreciate art. You got to appreciate art. You got to mad appreciate. Because if you don't mad appreciate, you're not going to have a good time.
You also have to be into, like, horror shit. That makes it a lot easier to...
I did not know this was a spooky show until I started watching it. And I was like, this is kind of spooky. And I'm not like a super spooky boy. And the first episode, I was like, this first arc spooky. Second arc, I was like, this is fucking spooky. And then but that's the fun part, like finding out what things are, especially the way it looks. I didn't expect it to be a spooky show.
No, it just looks like it's going to be some experimental, artsy show, and it's a great time. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Somebody recommended it to us. He's telling us that there was their favorite show. So bear that in mind. It can still be your favorite, but we are going to talk about it and why it's trash. No, not why it's trash. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to give our opinion. But you're still welcome to like things that you like. So take this with a huge grain of salt. If you're the one that recommended this show, because you obviously trust us to talk shit about something you love. So here we go.
100%. So how have you been, dude? What's new? What's good with you?
Dude, okay, so to be really honest, life has been pretty slow. Like I was like writing out my notes to figure out like what could I talk about before the pod, and there's not many notes. Life is not that life being slow is bad. It's just that's it. Life's slow right now.
Slow. Yeah, man, I am with you. Whoop. Don't worry about what I just did.
So to prove how slow life is, the first note, the big thing on like my things to talk about was that I bit the fuck out of my tongue earlier this week.
That's a fucking note you took down?
Dude,
you were like, bit tongue, this is going to be great.
No, I took a giant chunk out of it, Trip. Like on the side of my tongue, like on my left side of my tongue, there is a eraser head sized chunk of flesh that is gone, and it hurts so fucking bad. Yesterday,
is it from your tooth?
No, it's from So recap. Juan broke a crown a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last week I announced I'm gonna get a golden tooth. That's the plan. So because of that, I'm trying to use my other side to eat, which it turns out that I use mostly this side to eat. So yesterday for lunch, God, that's how fucking slow life is. I'm talking about how I bit my tongue. But yesterday for lunch, I was 2 bites away from finishing. I parceled out the two best bites, to eat. Second to last bite, I'm chewing with the side I don't usually chew with, and I bite the fuck out of my tongue. It hurt so bad. I was like, I swallowed it, not the tongue, swallowed the food. I was like, well, I had this last bite, finished it, and then went to go to the bathroom, check it out, and I'm just like bleeding. I was like, this fucking sucks. So the rest of that day was just me just being in like a not the best mood because my mouth hurt a lot. Today my mouth feels better. It still hurts a lot. So
you seem pretty positive.
Because I'm fucking fighting through it. But like dinner earlier really sucked ass. Like I was sitting there like trying to chew really slowly because the last thing I want to do is rebite it. So one side has a broken crown, the other side is a giant gaping hole. So yes. So my tongue is fucked, and it's my fault. There's nothing I can do but try to work my way through it. It's been detrimental, especially when I have to do a podcast and talk for like 2 hours. Anyways, that's the first note I had. Bit my tongue. Next, after that, just like fucking trying to catch up with animating. I have my second assignment. It should be done. I think this is my last week to be able to work on it. Week after that, we start our quadruped assignment. We're going to do like a dog walk cycle. And then I think we have one more week after those 2 weeks to then re-upload any other assignments, like do last passes and stuff. And that should be the semester, which is cool. It means I got like a month left of school, at least with this class. So I'm trying to focus, try to stay on it and not like fall more behind or anything. Lastly, the last thing I want to talk about
You're already out of your topics.
This is my last topic.
For 5 minutes in, you've spent like 3 minutes talking about your tongue.
Yeah, because my tongue. You know what? Want me to show you? No, I'm not going to show you. It's gross.
No, you don't need to show me. I'm just saying, like,
I'm saying life is so slow. It goes tongue, animating, and then a review of the Gauntlet, season 3. You know, that's like
okay.
So yeah, so I finished season 15. Me and Sarah finished season 15 of the challenge, which is something I'm doing now. We're rewatching this old MTV show. Trip has no idea what it's about. I love telling him how things are going because he's so confused. But anyways, season 15. That season was titled The Gauntlet 3, implying that there was a Gauntlet 1 and a Gauntlet 2.
Well, of course, yes.
Sadly, those 2 seasons, which I'm pretty sure I've saw in the past, are not on CBS All Access. I was like, cool, I'm not going to try to go back and watch them. I don't care. Because these are already 10 years old. Imagine how old those were. So yeah, I was able to finish it. I think the missions for this challenge were better. There was better drama. People just like arguing and not getting along. And a lot of it had to do with the way eliminating worked or whatever. This is one of the first seasons where in the past you would do a mission and then whichever team won the mission, there would be a monetary reward that would go into that team bank account. So like throughout the season, they would accumulate more money. At the very end, there would be a larger check, and then whichever team won that larger check won that check plus all the money they got throughout the season, and they would split that amongst themselves. That's how it worked. But this season, they said, no, fuck that. There is no money along the way. There's only money at the very end, which kind of led people to think, well, if there's more of us at the end, that means the less money there is for us to divide, right? So the idea came that, there's every episode they would eliminate one guy and one girl. So teams would purposely try to win the guys try to win the guy challenge. That way none of their teams would leave. But then when it was their turn to do like a girl challenge, they would try to lose so they can get rid of girls on their team. That way they're like, they're our weakest link. They're holding us back, shit like that. Which in one case did have it made sense. Not the idea that women aren't as strong as men, but the idea that it's not most beneficial to have the most people at the end if you want more of the money. Yeah. So I understand not wanting to win every single one because then you're fucking kicking someone off and getting a little more change your way. But anyways, the veteran team, because it's like veterans versus rookies, the veteran team very quickly came up with that idea and it was like, yeah, we're going to start doing this. So they won a lot. The rookie teams got annihilated, and they got to the point where the veteran teams were like, we got to start throwing challenges, just throwing girl challenges. And that was a huge drama, which is super fun. I was like, to watch, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, so I saw this season when it aired in the past, and I really wanted the veteran team to win because I knew people on the veteran team. I didn't know people on the rookies team. So I was like, let's go vets.
Yeah.
Pick a side, right? And I remember being really upset with the way the last challenge ends, the finals, because I was just like, my team didn't win, the vets lost. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. But as time progressed, now that I'm an older, wiser man or whatever, I'm watching and I go, I'm fucking so happy the veterans lost. And the reason they lost is because it's their own fucking fault. So they threw challenges, they got rid of girls, they made it to the very end, but they refused to get rid of any guys. And one of the guys on their team, his name was Eric, and he was 300 pounds. Like, he was a large man. And no one wanted to compete against him in one of the eliminations because you have to eliminate one of your own teammates tries to eliminate another person on your team. Like, that's, there's self-fighting or whatever. But no one wanted to go against him because he weighed so much. So if there's like a tug of war, no one's going to move him. He weighs 300 pounds. Yeah. And people throughout the entire season kept saying, like, he's an anchor. We got to get rid of him. He's like, he's going to hold us back. He can't run a mile or whatever, stuff like that. And Eric made it very clear, like, I'm not quitting. I'm not going to give up. And so people took him on his word, goes to the final challenge. He literally collapses. Like, he's on the floor. The paramedics have to drag him away. He cannot breathe. Like, it's like,
he didn't give up though.
He didn't give up. No, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, he did want to give up a lot throughout the entire way. He's just like, hey, come on, we got to stop. Let me go. I want to quit. And his teammate's like, no, you got to keep pushing. You got to do it. You said you weren't going to quit on us. He didn't quit. His body gave up on him. He passed out. And so he was like, they were all linked together and chained up. So they unlinked him. They took him to the hospital. The veterans team, after being super behind, catch up to the rookies team, dig up the final flag. And that's, again, a giant hole in the sand. They pull up the chest. They raise the flag. They win. But then TJ comes up and he goes, hey, guys, at the beginning I said that one of the rules was, your entire team had to cross the finale like no man left behind. Eric's not here anymore. so you guys lost. And it was just like, yeah, that's what they fucking get. That's what they get for not, they kept saying, oh, we gotta trim the fat, but they weren't willing to take out Eric because none of them wanted to go home. And then the best part even after that was like, see, because I knew this would happen. Sierra's like upset, like, this is fuck bullshit. Like, she's like upset like I was the first time I watched. She's like, that's not fair. And I was just like, I mean, it's their fault. They did it themselves, you know? They knew this guy probably couldn't run as much as everybody else, and they still chose to keep him. And then the best part was then the rookies had to still finish the challenge, get the flag out. So they very slowly got the flag out. They raised it. They won. And then TJ, the host, goes like, all right, rookies, you guys win the Gauntlet 3 by default. Just the best.
You just had to throw that in.
He literally goes, oh, that entire season was so funny because there's times where like, so this is TJ's maybe like third or fourth season hosting, and he's just a BMX rider. He's kind of like a meathead, kind of like a not the brightest dude. So like,
they
there's
just
times
brought in somebody like Joe Rogan. He was a wrestler, and then they're like, "Here, Fear Factor, do what you got to do."
Exactly. So there's like, come on, just be the host. So a lot of like the first
not
seasons are kind of
MMA, whatever.
He's kind of cringy of him just like being like just reading note cards. So by now, like he's got a little more loosey goosey. Like there'd be eliminations where there's an obvious like mismatch and like physical. Like a really tiny guy goes against a really big guy, and like the big guy wins. And then TJ will say shit like, well, good job, Ryan, you tried your best. And he goes like, you really didn't have a chance though, you know, stuff like that. Like he just kind of slips out. He's very honest. So I love the fact that at the very end he goes like, here you go, rookies, you win literally by default, congratulations. And Sierra's like then laughing. It's like, oh, that makes it all worth it. I'm glad that they know they only won by default. But they only had like
It's so funny though.
I think they had like 6 people on their team, so they all went home with like $50,000 as opposed to the fucking veterans who had like 10 people in the team and would have gone home with like 30,000. So it's like, anyways. Whatever. So overall, I enjoyed the season more. Serves their vets right, you know. And then Eric did apologize, and he's like, "Hey guys, my body gave up. I'm sorry. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, what can you do, right? Like, he physically passed out." I gave it like out of 10. I gave it a 7 because I had a good time. I enjoyed it. It's not like one of the best. I think there's better seasons to come, but I was like, yeah, I do remember a lot of there being like highlight moments here and a lot of like a very dramatic ending, even though it was like he won by default. So yeah, it was a good one.
And so you like these, sorry to interrupt, but you like these challenge shows that last like a full season where they have the like consistent cast. Yes. Did you ever get into those kind of challenge shows that were like one episode each, like Dog Eat Dog and Fear Factor and shit like that?
I used to watch Fear Factor a lot. I never got into Dog Eat Dog until I think after it got canceled. Like, and I saw it, I was like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I did like it was a competition show, but it wasn't like it was just like, hey, there's this cash prize. Maybe it was like 10 grand or something. Like, there's this 10 grand cash prize, go get it. So yeah, I enjoyed those shows also, but the challenge isn't set up that way. It is like an entire cast that goes out through an entire, you know, usually 10 episodes, 12 episodes. In later seasons, they made them longer. That being said, the next season's up is called The Island, which is just, I remember this one very vividly when I was younger watching it. It was just a Survivor ripoff. So far, it sucks ass. I can't wait to review it. But luckily, that one's only 8 episodes long. I was like, oh, thank God. This is so
was
short.
Was it on Fox?
No, they were on. They're all on MTV.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember, but I remember seeing it and thinking, isn't this just Survivor? Like,
yeah.
As somebody who didn't watch Survivor, I still was like, they're just ripping it off though, right? Like,
yeah. There was another show called like that Survivor that the people that produced Survivor also produced it. It was called like Great Davy Jones something, where it was just like, it's Survivor, but you're pirates. So it was like they were like these normal people and they went to go be pirates. It only lasted for a season. I was just like, this is really bad. Like whoever fucking pitched this and said like pirates were the new thing really fucking screwed the pooch on this one.
Did you like The Amazing Race?
I do like The Amazing Race.
Is it still airing?
It's still going on. Actually, right now it's actually currently still going. People were worried about like COVID slowing it down, but that one's still happening. Big Brother's also happening.
I know Big Brother has been going on for a million years.
Yeah, Big Brother's also happening, and those are shows I also got into. I'm not as like loyal to them as I am Survivor. I think Survivor is like my favorite TV, and then like the challenge just kind of became a thing that I ended up watching a bunch of and being like, yeah, I just have this vast knowledge about it because of years of watching. Like my sister watched it and then me watching it after her, kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just all there. And since I kept watching it, and then I got married, and then I was just like, oh, so yeah, the challenge is on like do you want to watch it with me? Because this is something I watch. And she'd never heard of it. And so then we're done with you watch the last 2 seasons. Like, do you want to watch the older seasons? Like, fuck yeah, why not? So it's fun. It's cool to have someone show up and be like, oh, it's the first time they appeared. And Sierra's like, are they going to come back? And you're like, yeah, they come back for like 5 more seasons, but they really fuck up in this season. And that person gets, addicted to fucking opioids. And that person over there is like a stripper. And that person's now an accountant and stuff like that.
The fuck? I love it.
Yeah. It's always sad when like you see a contestant, you go like, oh, that contestant dies in like 10 seasons from now. Like, fucking bummer.
Yeah,
but anyways,
a huge bummer.
That was the Gauntlet 3, 7 out of 10. I'm not gonna say would watch again. I don't think I'd ever watch these again. I'm tired.
But you are watching them again now, just to be clear.
But I've already seen them, and I'm only watching them because I
would not watch them a third time.
I want to spend time with my wife, and this is something we do to enjoy. It's that or Peter Grill, man. It's like fucking this, please.
How is Fall Guys not an option? You love that.
But I don't.
Gamers.
Yeah, I'm not. People don't respect my pivot from speedrunner to gamer. It's really upsetting.
Well, that's one of the problems, is that you're not committing to it. You're only a gamer when you're with your bros.
I'm a filthy casual dog. I'm not like a.
All right,
I'm not a.
That fits.
I'm not fucking.
Fits.
I'm not hardcore like you guys.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's always cool to just kind of turn off your brain and watch dumb people get drunk and do stupid shit. So.
Oh, I totally understand. I mean, I watch YouTube for the same reasons. I'm like, all right, let's watch this Metroid speedrun. I've seen like 1,000 of them, but here's another Super Metroid.
Let's watch it again. Yeah.
Let's see. How's it go? Are they going to kill the animals this time? Who knows?
Yeah, man. Well, I think I took up enough chunk talking out my tongue and the challenge. So what about you, man? What have you been up to? What's good with you, buddy?
Let's see. Okay. Well, I finished Legend of Korra. It took me this long to get there. Still not spoiling it for anybody. But after finishing season 3, I still think it's the best part of all of the Avatar world, Last Airbender, and Legend of Korra. The animated world. We haven't read the comics, so I'm not going to say anything about that. We also haven't read the Kyoshi books. You know, there are books.
I think those are pretty new, right? Those.
Yeah, one of them I think came out earlier this year.
Yeah, I think I heard about that. So you're saying season 3 of Korra is still your favorite out of all the seasons?
Yeah, I think that it's above all other seasons personally, because of a lot of reasons. Because of where it comes from, having a starting point of like that was one of the roughest seasons I've ever seen of any of Avatar. And building it into what it is, like one of the best things, where it really like shows a progression of different characters. It improves upon a bunch of shitty characters, gives them a more full like reason to be there, other than just like comedic relief or whatever the hell Bolin was for a while.
I feel like your statement that season 2 of Legend of Korra is like probably like the worst season of Avatar.
The worst, yeah.
It's probably, agreed upon with a lot of people. Like, like it's not like a thing people argue. It's like, yeah, I remember season 2 just not being that great. I don't remember season 3 and 4 that well because I mixed them up, I think. But I do remember enjoying them. Like I remember like be like, oh, this was a good time. So yeah, I'm glad you were able to watch it, and you watched it with Kate, right? What did she think?
Yeah, so she didn't like Korra the whole way through, which totally, I understand, but she's wrong. Just straight up. Kate, you're wrong. Fuck you.
Kate, if you're listening, fuck you. Fuck Fairy Tale. Go fucking die, bro. That's how you.
No, she watches the other long one.
Not Fairy Tale? What's the other one?
Yeah, we just say whatever. It's like, yeah, go back to your One Piece or whatever. Like, enjoy your Naruto. Bro. Whatever. Like, oh, Black Clover is still going. You've been watching that, Kate? That kind of shit.
Kate, it's fine. You know what? It's fine. Just because you don't like girl power and we do, bro, like, come on. Get woke.
I just loved Korra's journey, and going into season 4 and forgetting exactly how it all went and where it winds up. Like, there are great parts about season 4 that I love. They deal with a lot of internal issues that Korra has, like similar things to where Aang is feeling anxious about stuff or feeling like sad or regretful about whatever. Except you get what's up, dude?
Aang was feeling anxious.
Oh, yeah,
you
there
fucking
you go.
got me, dude.
There you go.
You fucking killer, dude. You got it.
He had his own kind of like mental journey to go on, but he's younger. And I feel like younger people are able to bounce back in different ways than older people. So the fact that like Korra is an adult really emphasizes the need for some kind of an emotional support system that is difficult to achieve, to when like you push people away, they're still able to like come to you or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, season 4, fantastic. Great job at showing the human parts of in Avatar. I loved it. But then it puts a different emphasis on the way that the story is told, instead of like, oh, these are the problems going on. It's a very like, hey, these are the problems going on, but like, you got to work on you, dude. Like, very much so. So I really like that juxtaposition of very important thing and equally important personal thing. It was a great season. The whole show is fantastic. I do wish that they just got all 4 seasons at once, though, instead of waiting each season for a renewal, because it does feel a little bit like disconnected from one season to another. Yeah, but one interesting thing is that major character from season 4 is in season 3, but she isn't introduced until the end of season 3. She's just like the head of, I guess, the guard. I don't really know what they are for the new Metal City. And at one point she's like, hey, by the way, I'm Kavira, at like episode 10. And you're like, oh shit, episode 10. Like, okay, I guess she's going to be important. And then she doesn't do a whole lot for the rest of that season. But she's a huge role throughout all of season 4. So it's just interesting that they had this plan, but they didn't want to commit to introducing that character at that point, even though she's in these scenes and she's frequently around. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Just now knowing what the show is and watching it a second time. Kind of cool. Anyways, other than watching Legend of Korra and finishing that up, another highlight from my last week is I finally got to play a game that I've been wanting to play for months. I don't think it's been a year yet, but it's been months. There's a game called Remnant from the Ashes, and it's a 3-player kind of like, it seems like it's going to be kind of like Dark Souls, but it's not, if that makes sense, where it's like, oh, it's going to be really hard and you have like a limited number of items and you have to go to these rest points in order to get all your stuff back and all that. Yeah, essentially Remnant is a really good time for a couple of friends and you, but not just for yourself. I think that's an important difference, because we played through on normal, had a few different difficulties, and we're like, let's just get through the game because we don't want to be here frustrated and have a hard time the whole time. And overall, it provided a little bit of a challenge for 3 people. But if it was just one person, I feel like the gameplay would completely change and it wouldn't feel as exciting, because you could go different routes. You're all just gun people. You have weird guns to start out. You have like a coach gun and a pistol if you're the cultist, which is what Kyle and I decided to be. And as the cultist, it gives you this like healing area to put on the ground. So we're like, cool, we'll just heal people. And then Sam could be the damage guy. And eventually by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm summoning skeletons and I'm going full crit into this thing. And like, you guys can't get healed. Fuck it. There were a couple of fights that were really tough. It's like all about the root infecting different worlds. And the root is like literally this evil tree that's taking over worlds, and you have to stop it by like going to other worlds and helping them and killing protectors for other worlds. It's a whole weird thing. Long story short, had a lot of fun with that. It's dark, it's entertaining, it's fast-paced and challenging. It allows you to go into different builds, but it has some like really funny, goofy extra things that you could do. So through playing the game and doing different things, you'll unlock different skills. So if you collect a bunch of stuff, eventually you get a skill that lets you collect even more stuff. And like you have a higher chance of getting money drops or whatever. There's one, like if you vault over a wall, after a certain amount of time, it tells you, oh, you got the vault over the wall skill. And you could put points into that to vault over it even faster. So we all just like sat at the wall hopping over it again and again. As soon as one person was like, oh, hey, I got this. Kyle and I turned around and we're like, what the fuck? And found just this tiny little road barrier to go on both sides, just hopping next to each other until we eventually got it. Traits for like dying a bunch and having people revive you for reviving people a bunch, stuff like that. It's a fun, cooperative, challenging game with some cool enemies, cool worlds, but overall not something that I would revisit ever. Like, I want to play through it once, had a really good time with it, I think I'm done forever kind of thing, you know?
So have you beaten it yet? Is it like done or?
So we beat it and we have one DLC to do because there's 2 DLC. One of the content things is it's extra story for one of them, and then the other one is more of like a zombie horde mode, but different, to where you go through sections of each world and it randomly generates which section you do, what enemies are there, and all maps are randomly generated in this game, by the way. So it's supposed to have a lot of replay value, and you're supposed to go through it again and again because you'll get different bosses, and then from those different bosses you get different items, and you could do a whole different thing. But through this like zombie horde type mode, you get a certain amount of money, you buy a few items, you go through, you kill a bunch of guys, and then you get through like a section, fight a boss. And once that boss is dead, you have more money to buy more items and stuff. But as you're going on, the faster you do it, the better. If you take a while, all the enemies level up. It's that kind of a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do it again and again, and that's kind of the cycle of the game for that DLC. So we played that. We're like, that's fucking whatever. And then Sam went and bought the other, that Kyle keeps calling the rat DLC. So I guess they're like rat enemies or something, like rat people with big old mech type armor. I don't know.
This is the I think I have like a couple buddies that were playing it, and I overheard them on Discord talking about it.
It's free on Epic right now.
It's Epic, yeah. That's what I think. It's free Epic. Yeah, my buddies that work at Epic were like, "Let's fucking play this game that people have been working on." It's great, and they were seeming having a good time. They were like, and they're like, "Yeah, man, it's like guns, and it's like Dark Souls kind of." And they're like, they were talking about like, they're like, "Yeah, you know," they're like, "We gotta." I think they were critiquing it while playing it, and they're just like, "Okay, cool, this looks nice, this feels smooth," and. But I feel like even though they work for that studio, they weren't like super like obviously they're not a part of that department, but they're just like, yeah, I get it, I understand the appeal of this, but I don't think it's like it was like their jam or whatever. I think they're still playing through it. I just didn't know how long the game was. So what did that take you, like a couple days?
Or like 11 hours maybe.
Okay, so it's like not massive, but I did hear it's free right now on Epic.
It is free on Epic. I got it on PlayStation because they were having a sale a while back, and Kyle said his computer can't run it. So I'm like, okay, PlayStation it is. We won't wait for a sale or whatever. And then better than a sale comes along. And it's just like, it's free. Well, we got on PlayStation. But
that's funny.
For a while, I've been wanting to play Risk of Rain 2. And that's been one that like consistently I've been talking to Sam about. I'm like, hey, dude, we got to play this like at some point. But Kyle doesn't want to play it until it fully releases. So we've just been waiting and waiting. And then Sam hit me up. He's like, hey, should I get Remnant right now or should I get Risk of Rain 2? And it took everything in me from going like, oh, yeah, Risk of Rain, because it has like a lot of replayability to it. It's like a randomly generated, another randomly generated map thing where you kill waves of enemies and you just survive as long as you can. And you go and pick up a bunch of stuff that they drop. So it's like a looter shooter, kind of randomly generated roguelike third-person shooter game. It's got
throw more words at it.
Indie cooperative. It's a game that looks like I'm gonna have so much fun with it, and it looks like it's gonna be my shit. But we also wanted to wait for Kyle to play it. But I'm like, I really want to play it. I don't know. So, anyways, I had to tell Sam, get Remnant. Kyle just bought it. We'll play that one together first.
Dude, that's funny. I literally just right now I got like a Discord notification from one of the guys. It was like one of the other Kyles in this group. He goes like, I tried out Remnant after seeing y'all on it for a bit. it's pretty fun. Like I was like, yeah,
it is pretty fun. The whole time we were playing it, we were like, this is so much fun. Like we're having so much fun with 3 of us playing it together. And then every once in a while we take a step back and we'd be like, I wouldn't like this if I was alone. Like again and again. Just like, dude, I can't wait to play it tomorrow. We had so much fun. Let's play it soon. This is going to be great. Yeah, I wouldn't play this on my own. Just again and again.
So you're waiting for this Risk of Rain. Is that PC or is that PlayStation?
Yeah, it's been out on, I think both for a while, but it's still in beta. And some people don't commit to that. But I do commit to that shit. I don't remember if last week I talked about Temtem. Did I talk about Temtem at all? It's the Pokemon game.
No.
A while back, I got Temtem when it was in early access, and it still is. But I got it pretty early on once it became available to buy. It's a multiplayer Pokemon game where everyone is kind of walking around in the open, and you can see all the different things that they have, all the different Pokemon, Temtem or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways,
we haven't talked about this, if that's what you're asking.
I'm pretty sure we did, but
never spoke about it.
Anyways, so Temtem played the fuck out of that with Sam. Kyle popped in, and just the animation, everything about the game feels great. It's a solid Pokemon game. You get to play with your friend, like one person, as a co-op. You starting to remember now?
That's not like the super colorfully one, is it?
Yeah, it's got a lot of colors.
Okay, so I think maybe you snapped something. You're like, and I was like, that's not Fall Guys, and you're like, it could be Fall Guys. Is that what we were talking about? Do you know
I think so. I think
okay,
maybe.
Then yeah, I don't think we spoke about it, but I do know what you're talking. Like I visually saw a screenshot of what you're talking about. So you played it with Kyle and Sam. And
I played it with Sam. It's a 2-player cooperative game. So Kyle doesn't do early access stuff, like I just said.
Yeah, okay, right. So it's still in. Okay, so it's not really released.
No, yet. But they put out a huge update for it, so they have like this whole new area to go to, and we're like, all right, cool, let's check it out. And then we just kept playing, and you have to grind. Like in Pokemon, you know how easy it was to level up in like Sun and Moon and stuff. Mm-hmm. They give you the experience share, and then all of your Pokemon level simultaneously, and you don't have to focus or grind. They just are consistently the level that they need to be for each area, right?
Yeah.
Temtem is not about that shit. They are all about, hey, this fucker you got, this level 8 fucker, he's gonna fight a 10 in this fight. And then you're like, okay, well, I need to buff up my guys because I barely made it through that. And you go back and you heal, and then you head out, and you're like, I'm going to grind for a while. And you grind up, and now you're level 12, and it took you forever. And then you go and you fight the next trainer, and they have level 12 guys, and you like still barely make it out of that. And you're like, what the fuck? And the whole time, then you power level your guys. You're 16. You're like, I'm going to go up to this 12. And then you start killing it. But right after you just crush that fight, they're like, and now everyone's level 18 right here. And you're like, how? How do you have time to do that? Like, and then I see these people walking around because you get to see their Temtem with them. And they have these fully evolved dudes. And you just look at them and you're like, oh man, that one's mine, but bigger. Wow. I wonder how long it would take. And then we go through so much more. And it's like level 8 where we saw our evolved forms running around in the grass. So then we get up to level 20 and we're like, how the fuck? How did that person back in that level 8 area, how long did it take them to get theirs to evolve? If it took us like 8 hours to get up to level 20 just for this one, how long did it take them to get theirs up there? Like how?
Well, they came back to grind because they're at like level 50. Like, we still not high enough for the next thing, boys. So they're back at your section to kill those fucking guys.
I just don't get it. It's it's super fun. I'm really excited to play more of that.
Isn't Raft also in beta though? Right? Like that's one of those games that's not complete. Does Kyle not play that?
You know what? The rules are pretty wishy-washy, but if it's
that's
beta,
what I'm about to say.
No. If it's beta, he says he does not play it unless it's a game that he decides to get.
What is this man? This man has no rules. He's lawless.
We brought that up. We have brought that up with him. We're like, hey, fucker,
you're coming with us here all the time.
Yeah. You're playing tons of fun games. Like he didn't want to get Secret Neighbor for the longest time. He was like, no, guys, trust me. It's in early access. It's not worth it. And then we got it, and we're like, this is the most fun. He's like, And I'm like, look, man, get it. Have a great time. It'll be fun. It's like, this is so much fun. I should have gotten it earlier.
You're just like, they're like, that son of a fucking bitch. Like, I fucking hate him. Yeah. Why would I lie to you? Why would I lead you astray? I just want you to have a fun time.
That's all that I want. I just want my homies to have fun. And if I think that they will, then I'll tell them what to check out.
That's funny, man. I was like, cool, Kyle has rules. And I was like, oh wait, Kyle plays Raft. Kyle has no rules. Kyle's a fucking liar.
As fuck, dude. Like if Fall Guys was in beta right now, he would still be playing it.
Oh,
like,
wow,
for sure, because he's been looking forward to it for a while. Yeah. So, but we've been falling. Not you and me. You've been busy doing who knows what,
biting my tongue, breaking my teeth. Yeah.
And I've been busy playing Fall Guys with the homies. Haven't played much on the computer. When I did hop on to play it for like a little bit, people were so grabby and aggressive, and like just scary. Vibes are totally different on PlayStation because there are a lot more like children playing on PlayStation, I'm assuming. I don't know. But
that person's a child.
Right? So I'm playing on computer. I'm like, fuck, they're all so grabby still. And then right after I started, that was when both Kyle and Sam were like, yeah, I'm down to play Remnant. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Let me just finish this up, and then I'll head back over to my PlayStation. And then I wound up winning, even though it was super stressful and aggressive, like the most aggressive group. I barely won, but I wound up winning all of them. I'm like, whew, I feel like I should never come back to PC. I feel like that's the perfect way to end it, with just like a, well, I have to end it now in order to play this game and have fun. But anyways, that was a good time. I don't know, man. Fall Guys is just so much fun.
I think I told you that I played on PlayStation a little bit last week, and the first I got was I made to second place on Hexagon, and I was like, son of a bitch, so close. But that so same round, I was doing so well where I got, for the first time ever, I got first in a race. I was just like, I looked around, I was like, there's no one behind me. This is unfucking precedented. And I was just like, I go through and they're like, yeah, a badge pops up. I was like, this is what trip feels like all the time.
It feels, I want to show you one of my accomplishments from last night playing with Sierra and Eliza. And I don't know how much you'll be able to appreciate this, but
you gotta back it up.
You see that?
Are they all platinum?
Try to get it. They're all gold. So I got first on all 6 of the events or whatever. Or usually my teams got first, I got first, all that. I was like, holy fuck, this is never going to happen again. I will never get that lucky. I will never be that talented.
Well, I always joke, when I make it through, whenever I qualify, I go top 20%, even though like I'm in the way back.
Yeah.
But this time it was true. I was like top 1%? No.
Dude, you did it. You are the first place.
Yeah, I blew my mind. That and
it feels great.
It does. It feels really cool. Again, people shouldn't take it too seriously because it's just a dumb game. So
it is just a dumb game. It's so much fun. It's so much fun and so stupid, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think this was after. So I got to play with my buddy Abe, who you know fondly. That I was playing with him.
Oh, I know Abe.
Yeah.
I know Abe very well. Hi, Kate. How you doing? I told Abe to say hi to you for me. He refused because I drunkenly yelled at him. Oh, I played Jeopardy. I remember I got drunk and played Jeopardy.
Yeah, I thought you did some more stuff, but I'm like, we don't talk about that. Okay, whatever.
I forgot.
I'm not trying to embarrass you on the show,
Okay, let's quickly backpedal. My friend Kyle set up some stuff with like college friends, and he set up like a Jeopardy board. There's like a Jeopardy thing online where you can like make your own Jeopardy, and he took it really serious. Like, to make sense of this, in college, they started adding the fucking Tournament of Champions on Netflix, and we all really got into it. So we would come back to school and be like, hey, what is this? And we would, play around and we would watch it. So anyways, so he decided to do that. It'd be cool to catch up with us, people who graduated, and just kind of play Jeopardy. And he had like we went on like a buzzer system that was like also online, and it was fun, but I was in charge of making dinner that night, and they wanted to play around the time that I was going to finish making dinner. So I literally just finished making dinner, popped in, instantly started drinking beer, and I was like 3 beers in. I was like, wow, I am fucking drunk. Like this was quick. I had nothing in my stomach. And so I was like, let's fucking go, boys. It was a lot of fun. Kyle put a lot of effort into it. We played the 3 rounds, like round 1, round 2, then Final Jeopardy. Some of the really good categories were like categories that like like the category topic was like, oh, that's what it was about. So he'd like kind of describe kind of what a movie was about, and then we'd have to tell him what the movie was, or he'd be like almost a band name. So it would be like, say it was Nickelback, it'd be like metal B-side. So we'd be like, try to figure out what that was, My favorite category to play was like name that tune. So it was like old like cartoon shows that like we grew up listening to, and I nailed all of them except for the last one, and it was a fucking daily double, and I was like, let's make it a true daily double. So I bet all our money. Me and Josh like, let's fucking do it. Let's bet all our money. They started playing it, and I instantly started humming along with it, but I didn't know what show it was. I was like,
do you remember what it was now?
Yeah, because I got the answer.
Okay. You did figure it out.
No. He told me the answer after I got it wrong. So like,
perfect.
So I
want to give everyone a chance to try to guess on their own what it is. Do you mind humming it or something and helping people out?
Okay, so here it goes.
So they can feel like they're better than you or can relate to you and be like, I know it, but I don't know what the fuck it is.
Okay, here it goes. So it starts off like a sci-fi sound, like a sci-fi spaces noise. It goes, whoa, and it goes. It stopped before that. It stopped right before that, right before the and I was humming along with it. Kyle stopped it, and I kept humming it, but I couldn't put what the song was. Like I obviously heard it, but my brain's just like, I don't know, dude. So Josh made a guess. It was wrong. Here it is. Here's the answer. It was fucking Ben 10. I was so fucking pissed because I was like, that's when I kind of stopped watching, cartoons on.
Yeah, I've never seen
Cartoon
Ben
Network.
10. Don't know what it's about.
I caught a few episodes here and there, but I was like more gearing towards like watching actual television and like getting into anime and stuff. So it was like near the latter half, but I knew it. Like I was fucking humming along with it. I was like, how? And I was like, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was my favorite category. My least favorite category was Me Animate Good, which was geared towards us animators and modelers. I didn't get any of those answers right. I did so poorly. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think they're planning on doing it like every month. By the way, Brian and Alec won. They're the Jeopardy champions. They fucking annihilated us. But yeah, me and Josh ended up in last place. So next month, I think they're going to try to do it again. So yeah, that was fun. Anyways, back to you talking about your friend Abe.
Yeah, that Jeopardy night sounds like a lot of fun, man.
It was a good time.
I'm stoked he had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Abe made me laugh super hard out from nowhere. There's a game in Fall Guys where you have to find a hidden path amongst this whole like flurry of tiles, and the tiles disappear if it's the incorrect one. So
I hate that game.
It's called Tiptoe.
I hate it so much.
And when you get to the end, there's a little jump to do, and once you do that little jump to the finish line, you're done. Easy. Abe made it. Easy. Abe made it. He was in first. He fucking knew exactly where it was. He gets there, and then he jumped like as soon as he hit the last tile. So he bumps into the wall before the finish line and falls. And he just screams, "No, I was premature!" And I'm like, "Yeah, you were." And he's like, I premature ejampulated, and I couldn't handle it, dude. That got me so good.
I'm not a big fan of Abe right now, but well done, Abe. That was an amazing joke.
Funny.
Kate, you tell Abe I said good job.
Sierra was laughing really hard at it too. It was just it was a good time. I'm like, man, I forgot why I liked him. It's because he says weird sex puns. That's why. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why. But he's pretty great. He's a beautiful little baby boy, and I love him.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
I don't know. I did other cool shit, but none of it matters anymore because I don't feel like talking about it. I want to talk about anime, man.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
What anime have you been watching?
So I watched the newest episode of Rent a Girlfriend. Ever heard of it?
I have, but I haven't watched it. Continue.
So last week we were talking about the introduction of this new character who's been in the intro and outro, and we were trying to guess what her personality was gonna be like, and I was like, oh, it might be Tsundere. I'm not a big fan of Tsundere. I don't actually know what she is, and I'm very surprised as to where all this went. Honestly, like I was like, what is going on? Because to be fair, I am enjoying Rent a Girlfriend a lot. I think it looks really good. The comedy bit makes me actually laugh. It's toned down on the etchiness. I feel like it was really hard super early. I feel it's not so much anymore.
I mean, I guess it went.
It was. I felt like it's. Yeah. No, it has. I mean,
It never felt like it was just there to be there. It always felt like it was there with a purpose to show us what's going on with our main character's mind.
Even this first episode, like this new episode where like it starts off with a boob grab, like an accidental boob grab, and I'm just like, yeah, boy, starting off strong. It was all a part of the plot. It all had a reason why he had to grab her boob.
That's true. I saw a small clip and I was like, whoops. And then I stopped watching it. I was like, what?
Did you not watch the episode?
No. That's what I said earlier on. I said, didn't watch it. All right.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to spoil it.
No, I didn't watch any anime this week.
At all? Okay, you played Fall Guys.
You kind of cut off my anime night.
Is that tonight?
Yeah, that was tonight.
My class on Wednesday got pushed to Tuesday, so you can't record. So we're recording on Monday, and I was like, hey, Trip, I found out on Sunday, to be fair. And I told you.
No. Like, there was enough time. Like, you were all good. There's nothing we could do. We just got to do what we got to do.
So, okay, so let me backtrack. There's a boob grab.
Yep.
And there's a reason for it. And it feels like her characterization has surprised me. There's a new outro, I think. And the outro was like an interesting outro because it happened. It's one of those what happens a little ahead of time and then stuff happens afterwards kind of bit. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's like stuff after the outro.
Yes.
So this outro explains to you like what our new girl's deal is. It's like her entire backstory.
Oh, that's
and I was
cool.
just like, and me and Sarah were like looking at him like, is that a new outro? It's like, I think it's a new outro. I was just like,
oh yeah, because the normal outro is him jerking off.
Yeah. So again, which is fucking top notch. But what I'm saying is like, because we weren't sure if it was an outro. I was like, if it's not an outro, that just means they, instead of giving us a backstory for it, just gave us a montage. They're just like, fuck it, put a montage in there, fucking get this shit rolling. Let's get out of here. So anyways, I'm liking it. But we were right. Obviously, she's a rent-a-girlfriend. I'm going to spoil that for you. We assumed...
That was not a spoiler. Don't worry. I already
come on. Every news...
Right away. She's trying to be like, hey, I'm a rent-a-girlfriend, just so you know, like, we know what's going on. And all of us could just be honest. Like, we don't need to fucking... I got that feeling from her, but it's also like, I don't know. We'll see.
Anyways, the way this episode ends does end kind of on like a... Whoop. I don't know what's going to happen, but... This guy is for sure just getting more slowly involved into more love triangles, right? Like some more like people loving him and shit like that. So, anyways, enjoyed that. I watched Wacky Races, which is actually called. What's it called?
You don't know?
Come on,
it's
something Ranman.
It sure is something Ranman.
Anyway, that's what I watched.
Ranman.
We get to see. This is after the race with the whole like Gil bit, and they like destroy his like. His car, and we find out that they're actually not the real.
They're the good boys.
Gil. Yeah, they're actually just pretending to be him.
Yeah, they hurt bad people.
We see a little bit of more racing for like 20 seconds, and then it's just like side story. And I was telling Sierra, like, for a show that's about this, trans-American race or whatever, they do a lot of not racing.
I don't know if you ever watched Barney's Trip Around the World or whatever, but let me tell you. Not a whole lot of balloon rides in that. Even though that was the whole idea, mostly it was just them dropping an egg on the ground and having to go find the rainbow egg.
No, man, I'm just...
the whole time I watch this show, I compare it with Barney. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, he does have like pink hair, and he's a purple dinosaur? He's purple, right?
Yeah.
I'm not good with colors, so...
Purple and green. You're just an artist.
Yeah. So anyways, they... very quickly stop racing and to do this other thing, this fucking side mission. And I was telling Sierra was like upset. I was like, look, like I get why that they do this. This is important. But if the point is to win the race, even if they do have the checkpoints, they would lose. Like if there's people actually taking the race seriously, like the two main, like fucking crazy TJ and Dylan or whatever, I was just like, they're gonna win. Just because that's physically how. Anyways, it was good. We got to see backstory for the samurai guy, and he got to like fucking kick ass in this episode because usually he's just like the motherly doting figure. He fucking cooks potatoes and just like, all right guys, let's fucking do it,
and names animals after his friends.
Yes, which is very sweet. But yeah, he became a badass. He fucking used his sword. I thought it was really cool. And yeah, so the race continues. Hopefully,
nice.
The next episode we'll see some racing. And then lastly of the current stuff that I watched last episode of God of High School. I think you had watched it already.
The team up episode, where I just spoiled that like he can't even fight.
Yeah, because he was just like
Jin Mori or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he knocks himself out or whatever. He fucking flexes pressure points and he can't fucking actually compete.
I thought that was hilarious. I'm like,
it was really funny.
Yeah. But
we got to see so we saw the new episode, and do we see a little bit of fight? I think we see a little bit of fighting stuff, like in the tournament. But it's also like a backstory episode. We see the guy that like was eyeing our main character, and like he's like a nice dude, and he's like introduced himself. They have like a scuffle, and then we see the backstory of like him meeting the main character's grandpa, and we see the main character like in a baby Bjorn, and he's just like tiny, like fucking sleepy mask on. He's like, it's like such a good fucking like scene. I was like, this is great.
Yeah. What I think is so interesting about God of High School is that it's been pretty divisive for a lot of people. I thought it was
really
just going to be exactly. I thought it was just going to be a super fun time that everyone's going to enjoy, and it's just going to be like a typical shonen type thing with a lot of fun fights and fun characters to back it up. But some people are like, yeah, I'm watching it, and I'm just not caring about any episode. And I'm like, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but like, on the other hand, it's done very well. It has a very stylized animation. I feel like their jokes are always pretty like on like point with the pacing of everything. I'm just having a great time with it, but a lot of people just haven't been into it. So it's interesting to see like you and I, who really enjoy this.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I like animation visually, like it's great. The designs are great. And like I do find myself like laughing. It's like, oh cool. So it is hitting on like a bunch of points, and it's a dope fighting anime. So maybe those people, I don't know, maybe they're really into the webtoons or whatever. I don't know why it's upsetting. No, but I know that
people that like the webtoons have been liking this show in general. Okay. Like there have been a few people that I've spoken to that like the webtoons that keep liking this. One of my newer coworkers is actually all caught up with the webtoons, and he's liking it.
Nice.
So
no,
yeah, interesting.
I was telling Tim about it, and he's like a huge like shonen guy. Like I go over to his house to like hang out and draw, and he's like just blasting fucking the Cell Saga for like the 1,000th time. He's just freezes getting his ass beat. He like loves Dragon Ball Z. So I was like, hey man, check the show out. I was like, some cool fights. I wasn't too sure if he would like the other parts of it, but he hit me back up. He's like, hey man, I caught up with it, and like he's like really enjoying it. I was like, okay, cool. So like there is like it's from my head, I was like, yeah, well, if he fucking likes it, because I also told him to go watch Mob Psycho, and he was just like, nope, not feeling it. I was like, all right, I guess it just isn't for you.
I mean, that makes sense. Mob Psycho is a lot harder for certain people to get into. I mean, both you and I know personally.
Yeah. It took us a while, but yeah. So this episode ends on like a happy note. Like we get to. Oh no, it does not. It ends on a happy note and then a sad note right after it. But but our main character, like, he gets to celebrate his birthday, which is pretty cool, and like his like teammates are around him, like, oh, this is nice. Like it's like I'm liking the characters. I want them to win. Fights happen. Sometimes the fights don't really matter because you kind of know what's gonna who's gonna win the fight. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's absurd. Like we were talking about last week, you're talking about the giant trigun lady with her fucking cross gun and like the dude with the wings. I go, this shit's absurd. Like it's hit that level. I'm like, but I'm like, I fuck with it. So yeah, so that's the last anime that I watched. That's like current anime. I also got to finish rewatching all of Death Note while I was doing my animation, which is like it's only 37 episodes. It's really short.
Sure, yeah. What'd you think of it the second time, third time, fourth time, 20th time through?
I don't know how many times it is. It has. I think it's less than 5.
Is it?
But it's for sure more than 2. Like I've for sure seen it at least twice. So it's got to be somewhere in that range. But it has been a while since I've seen it in a while. To the point where I was watching it and I go like, spoilers for Death Note, the show that came out a billion years ago. Like I had forgotten that light actually does pull one over on L, and it's actually Nier that catches light.
Yeah.
Because in the movies it's not like that. Like even like in the live action movie, in the Netflix one that came out, and like the ones we watched with Japanese rap, him like, yeah, L wins that in that one, right? And I was like, but I guess it'd been so long that I hadn't seen it as I was like, because to be fair, one of my least parts of, because I also read the manga of Death Note
is when the kids take over.
Yes, when Nier and Mello show up. I'm like, oh man, I wasn't too keen about it. So when I remember watching, I guess maybe my brain's just like, oh, you like the ending of L winning instead, even though he bites it. But that's not how it happens. I was like, okay, cool. So all that being said, I still enjoyed it. Like it's good. It does. Kyle's actually right now reading the manga, and I'm talking to him about it, and him and I were going back and forth, and I go, things that do kind of baffle me, and I think maybe it's like when I was younger, I was like I didn't question it as much. Like, why do so many people give Light so many information? I get he's a very smart person, but he's also just a teenager. Like he's 17 going on 18, right? And people are just coming up and like, I have this information about Kira, and he goes like, my dad's the fucking chief of police. You could tell me everything. I was just like, why? Why?
What I was thinking when we were watching our last live action movie.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm thinking like, Light wasn't even in the police force, and like he got all this information and was like only caught because he was so close to the police force. Well, yeah, but if he was just some random dude, it would have been fine. But instead, his dad was like chief of police.
Yeah, but the thing is, like he also like he eventually does join the police force right after the time jump in the anime and the manga. But before that, he's just like, yeah, I've helped my dad with cases in the past. First of all, why is your dad letting you help him with fucking cases? You're a child. Like, I don't care how smart you are. He's an adult. It's his job to solve the cases. Why? Anyways, it really came up a lot. Like a red flag came up when there's a scene where he's getting information from the wife of the dead FBI agent that he murders, and she's just like, you're just a random stranger I met on the street. Let me tell you what I think about Kira. And it's like the one loose string that could like tie him to, at that point, to all, the crimes. And I go, the fuck? I was like, no, fuck that. And I was adamant. I was like, this is stupid. Like, I was like, this is dumb. Like, I'm 26 years old, going on 27, and this is stupid. No one should be telling a 17-year-old boy any information like this.
Yeah, well, then you have to remember shit. Like, Japan just has this this really like golden years kind of like look on that specific time frame of high school, right?
Yeah.
So they're just like, yep, high school's my peak. That's just where everyone's the best, So even things like Food Wars, where the whole show is just people making food that make other people orgasm. It's teenagers that are making that goddamn food, dude.
Yeah,
like
that's Master Chef Junior, bro. That ain't the Master Chef.
Exactly. Like, imagine if they were adults, and that's why we still don't see like a lot of college level anime or like series. It's all high school. It's the golden years.
Rent a Girlfriend.
Rent a Girlfriend. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that it's like a breath of fresh air. God of High School. Are you kidding me?
It's in the title. It's in the bro. One of the guys fighting in the God of High School tournament is
adults.
But one of the guys in the tournament is like 48 years old or whatever. He's just like, I'm a fucking construction worker. I was like, what? What? How?
They tried to do a Haikyuu where they're like, this is going to be the people that you're rooting against, but they're real people too. And I'm like, yeah, but you gave me one episode and I don't give a fuck.
Like, like, don't care.
You gave me 2 minutes to care about this guy before he got his ass handed to him.
When we knew he was going to get his ass handed to him. We knew it was going to happen. Anyways, I still like Death Note. It's still like a good show in my opinion. Like I said, those flags had come up, but I was just like, whatever, who cares? It was old, so whatever. Still, it looks nice. I think at a certain point, like it's like the older episodes, I'm like, I can see where they cheaped out on this, this drawing of Light Yagami. And they're like, whoa, this looks really good. But I don't know. I think I'd still tell people to watch it if they're like into anime and they're like, what should I watch? And I go, you watch Death Note? Like, no, check it out. Why not? But yeah, it was cool to just kind of, I didn't focus too much. It was just kind of in the background while I worked. And then before I knew it was over, like, great, gotta find something else to turn in the background while I clack away. So anyways, that's all the animes I watched this semana.
Cool. That's all the anime that I watched too. So I'm glad we got to talk about it.
Let's get into the news then.
All right. Fucking news, man. Why are you making me do this? Hey, Funimation?
Yeah.
Well, they added some stuff.
Okay.
They added Persona 4, the Golden Animation, Anohana, the Flower We Saw That Day, High School Fleet, and some fucking more. Our Love Has Always Been 10 Centimeters Apart, Servant X Service, that kind of shit.
Cool. So they just diversified their catalog. They've gotten some more animes.
Yeah, man. In addition to more animes, more anime-related stuff is going on. Soon there's going to be Virtual Crunchyroll Expo, which if you guys haven't already registered for it, like, go for it. It only took me a minute, and I've been procrastinating, and I did it today. It's free. It's going to be September 4th to 6th, so you've still got, like, over a week. Anyways, Sentai Filmworks announced that it's going to do a Sentai at Home virtual event which is going to take place on August 26th. So that's going to be today, the day that the podcast comes out, or Wednesday if you're watching now. Anyways, they just announced their event. They're going to have a bunch of different voice actors, producers, directors of different series. It's going to have interviews. They're going to unbox stuff. It's got just news from the industry and shit. So I'm working that day. I'm for sure not going to watch like all of it in its entirety. But there's going to be a lot of little info coming out on Wednesday. So check it out.
Cool.
Last piece of news. Next week, our episode is going to be about Great Pretender, which is a show by Studio Wit that just dropped on Netflix in the United States on Friday, I think. No. Wednesday?
No,
I don't remember.
It was like a week ago. It was like,
whatever.
It's like Tuesday or Wednesday.
It was a weird day. But Great Pretender Case 4, which is episodes 15 through 23, are going to start streaming on Japanese Netflix on September 21st. So we are going to get more pretty soon. We're just going to have to wait a little bit, but
yeah. That's cool. And like you said, we are going to be doing Great Pretender next week. Hopefully people got the chance to watch it before we, kind of get into it. But I'm excited for it. And that news does let us know that it is more than 12 episodes. So it's 2 core. So it might take time to get to. It might feel like a second season, depending on how long it gets to us.
It's also interesting because Great Pretender, for those of you that don't know, is like a case by case thing. So it's going to have like a section of episodes that are all related and another section. So case 4 being 15 through 23, that's a fucking big chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Because be a 14 episodes, it had to be like 4 or 5 episodes each case beforehand. And this one's going to be 8 episodes or 9 or whatever it is. I'm not going to do the math right now. I'm not a genius.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that, for whenever we get it. But yeah, Great Pretender next week. That's what we're going to be doing.
Okay. That's all the news. That's fucking it. Got nothing. Do you want to talk about Mononoke?
Let's do it.
We're talking about Mononoke, which is the series from 2007, not Princess Mononoke, which I feel like is already kind of a difficult sell for this, because you go into it with like an idea and then it's something different. So
when I read Mononoke is what we were going to talk about, I was like, I've seen that. Why would I? In my head, you say Mononoke, I instantly think Studio Ghibli, Princess Mononoke. And it was like, oh, no, okay, cool. This is completely different.
Totally
we recently found, literally just early, that this
before we started recording,
that this is actually like the second season, or like the sequel to this other show or this other thing or spin-off that was called, what was it called? Something.
It's called Ayakashi Japanese Classic Horror.
And so I guess the main character for Mononoke is actually a character in that. And I got to see some animations and some he's there, he's in motion. It looks similar, right? And like obviously I'm not very familiar with, I don't know, traditional Japanese horror. So maybe these are like classic stories that are like kind of like a part of Japan's culture. I'm not very familiar, so I don't know if this like someone's like, hey, let's make this an anime, and then they decide, hey, let's take this character and then make a spinoff. But even though I kept looking at it, I'm like, you know what, this animation for 2006 looks really ugly. You're like, they're only a year apart. I was like, I don't know, man. It feels like it's 20 years apart. Like that's how ugly it is.
It's just a year apart, but Mononoke definitely comes out on top as far as the animation and the style and all of that. It looks fascinating, and that's the thing that drew me to this so quickly. Is as soon as somebody recommended, hey, you should check out Mononoke, I was like, all right, heard a lot about it. I've seen some pictures about it. Let me just look up a little bit more. And like the fact that this is a show that's essentially like, there needs to be an exorcism, and we take care of an exorcism at like each location. And instead of it being heavily focused on the main character, it focuses on the story around the exorcism, around the Mononoke, which means monster. And we get to just see a little bit more. I don't know. I was into it. Yeah. So thank you so much, Ryan, for suggesting this to us, by the way.
And I just wanted to say, even though this is like a spin-off thing, you can absolutely watch this without watching the other thing. Like I didn't feel like I was lost at any point. This show does a really good job of kind of like, there's arcs within the entire show. So it's not like you do follow one character, like you said, but he's not really the focus. It's like he's just there, and he's just a part of the stories, and like there's new stories, and it was cool. I feel like I haven't seen a show like this in a while where it's like not just one continuous story. Usually everything's like it's either episodic, right? Like it's like one episode done and then it kind of continues. But this felt interesting because like it was part 1 and part 2, or like there was 3 parts. And then even within the episodes, they had things where it was like felt like plays. They're like act 1, act 2, final act kind of thing. It was different. And it took me a while to get really into the show. Like I wasn't instantly on board, to be like, if we're being really honest. Like overall, by the end of it, I would say I enjoyed it. But it took me a bit to get into it. Like the first arc has to do with like some babies in a brothel kind of thing, and I was just like, I really didn't know what I was getting into, and I was like really not feeling it after 2 episodes. I was like, man, I don't know what the fuck Trip, who the fuck this Ryan guy is wanting us to review this show. But I was just like, I don't know, man. But then as I got further into it, I kind of got a better feel for like what I was watching. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of certain things of it. There's a lot of merit in it. Yeah. I don't think this is like an instant classic. Isn't going to be in like the top 10 of me reviewing, like suggesting this to people. But I feel like this is for very specific people.
And I also don't think I'm going to forget about this either.
No. No, I'm not going to forget Baby Fishes or anything like that. No.
There's some unique looking shows that are very forgettable, but this one had so many unique things about it that is pretty much impossible to forget if you watch it all the way through. I mean, we even keep comparing it to another show that we forget the name of just because of its animation style. We watched 1 episode of that other show and we've remembered it ever since. And we talked about it earlier, the Mongolian show. I don't fucking know what it's called.
Oh, yeah, the Mongolian show. Yeah, so yeah, there's a show, I think like 3, maybe a year or 2 ago, but there was a show.
It was like a couple years, yeah.
Where we don't remember anything. I remember like wanting to enjoy it, but I was instantly taken out because they decided to do this like filter, like this overlaid
shitty, grainy.
It looked like someone's like put rice paper in front of the camera and they go, cool, every scene is going to have this same thing. And Mononoke has a similar, filter over it, and it gives it texture and stuff. And I was like, I'm not fucking with this. I don't like it. And I was upset. And then I started sitting farther away from the TV and the computer, and I was just like, oh, I can't really notice it. I'm okay with it now. Because one thing I think Mononoke has going for is visually it's really nice. Like there's a lot of colors, there's a lot of designs. They do like things
really like, good colors and designs that separate it from other shows and make it feel very unique. Not just with like the animation, but with those particular like little accents on furniture or whatever. Like it looks so stylized and so cool, and then they put this film over it and they make it like look rougher and worse, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of it, but it grew on me because by the end of it I wasn't as upset with it. But at the beginning I was like, I'm not having this, Ryan, send it back. But yeah, like we were talking about like, things we like, and this is a show where it's really hard to kind of spoil because every arc is kind of very the same. Our dude is an exorcist. He kills Mononokes, which are the monsters. So like they're all, I think there's a total of maybe 4 stories that get told within the 12 episodes. I want to say, okay, so baby bit, fish bit, there's a smoking bit, the cat bit.
Faceless Monster. Right?
Faceless Monster. That was one of my least favorite ones, I think.
Yeah, that one was for sure my least favorite.
Yeah, I think that was, I'm like, I'm kind of fucking bored here. Favorite one, I would say, I think was the smoking one. I thought that was like really interesting. Just the story it was telling. But that's like the fourth story it's told. It's one of the last stories.
It's the 4th one, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, oh man. So it did take me a while to get there to find my favorite one. But I still had a good time.
Yeah, and I mean, I started out and I was like, ooh, this is just oozing style. I hope it's good. I like the way that it tells your story in like fragmented bits. You don't know who the main character is exactly. I mean, we know who the main character is, but it never puts an emphasis on him until the second part where he becomes like, all right, I'm taking care of this. We're figuring out what's going on. This is the deal. Yeah. And then all the story just comes to a close because of him. And when it got to that point, I was fully interested in, okay, what's this show going to be? It feels like we're going to get different like sets of stories. People already compared it to Mushishi, where it's very like a couple part episodes and we'll go take care of this weird problem in this area. And this is similarly, this is just like rumors of a ghost. I'm going to go check it out. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And for the Mushishi bit, like the comparisons, like as by the time I got to the second arc, I'm like, oh, this gives me Mushishi vibes. But like, I remember not being the biggest fan of Mushishi. I think Mushishi, like when you showed it to me, I'm like, this is very visually stunning. Like the animation in its own is very pretty looking, but nothing really happens in that show. I feel like, besides
it's very slow paced and very like calm and reflective. This show is not calm and reflective. This is
it's
very
people
like
yelling at each other.
You
it's
gotta
people calling
watch.
Each other liars.
Yeah,
and
then suddenly it jumps to another point in the story, like instantly. You're just like, and here's the backstory with like mid sentence. It could cut you off and show you something that happened like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then almost every episode ends with a really nice, like gorgeous piece of animation with like our main character going into this like Super Saiyan mode where he levels up and he vanquishes whatever the
he essentially
monster
lets was. It's not our main character that's doing that. It's a spirit that's inside of his sword.
Exactly.
Is using his body as a vessel to rid the world of the evil that
the monster
exists. Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like that, those are some of my, like, I really like that. Like those are really fun, exciting moments. And they always like, even though it happens a total of, I don't know, 5 times, they're all a little bit different. Like there's like little things that change. Like my favorite one was like the smoke one where like he's fucking revving up to do this awesome swing and he comes down and it cuts to him just like breaking whatever that table was in the center in half, kind of unceremoniously, just like breaking evenly in half. And I go, that was nice. It's different, But yeah, I think my favorite part of the whole thing, of the entire Mononoke like vibe, all the really gorgeous colors and stuff, like all that being aside, my favorite part was character designs. Like there were some really interesting looking characters. Our main character, he just kind of walks around and he wanders as like, he says he's a medicine vendor, right? That's what he says.
He's a medicine man. Yeah.
But he's got like pointy ears. He's got like face paint. He's like not the right color that a human would be. But no one ever seems to really be like, hey, dude, you kind of look like an elf thing. Like no one really touches on it because everything in this world is kind of ugly looking.
They all look weird. And like what I thought was interesting too is that women started like looking pretty consistent, but it started out with like different designs. And then suddenly it became like, oh yeah, women are just anime women. Like
they simplified them. Yeah, especially like by the very end, like we see our first anime woman in like episode like 3 with like the fish lady, and then we see I feel like we see that same character at the very end.
You do
with the cat. Yeah, right? I'm like that's the same person.
And she's also in the prequel series. So interesting. Yeah.
So I mean, but again, like even without seeing prequel series, like doesn't change anything. Like we can still enjoy this for what it is. But yeah, character designs. Like there's this character in the smoke bit where like there's like he's like this dude with big fat lips, and there's this guy with like he's like a samurai, and he's got like really like flary hair and stuff. And then there's this dude with the really pointy nose mask, like it's just like a little cone that's right on his nose. And like they're all there to play this weird game where they're smelling pieces of wood and they're trying to guess exactly what piece of wood it is, and they're seeing if they're doing this whole thing. But he removes his cone mask to smell the wood or whatever, and his nose underneath is just the exact same shape as the nose mask that's on top of it. And I go, that is so fucking dumb, but I love it because it's so dumb. It's like yeah, like this is great. There's like the detective in the last episode. He's like really small and squat, and he's got like sharp front teeth. And I was like, that guy looks like a fucking villain. I thought he was like the mayor, but the mayor was the other dude who looked more regally.
He's just a little gremlin guy. Don't worry about him.
And I was just like, what a cool looking gremlin dude. Like, for some reason the conductor had this like huge fat lower lip. This like, it was interesting. I always really enjoy seeing people not take a conventional route when it comes to designing things. So when something looks different, I'm just like, I'm a fan of it. So this show just oozed that kind of like that personality of like, humans all look different. They all come in different shapes and sizes and different creeds or whatever. So like this show felt like it like embodied that. Like, so that hands down was my favorite part. They're just sitting there and looking at all the different character designs.
Absolutely. I think that the show really excelled at having those unique characters. But more than anything, I was just intrigued to see how the stories play out, because they are told in that kind of like fragmented style. And then eventually there's that like aha moment where you know everything that's been going on. I really, really enjoyed it. But that being said, I didn't enjoy every aspect of this show. Going into it, it was really hard to get into, like you said. But it wasn't just the film grainy choice that they made that was deterring me. They did this motion blur effect to make it seem like things were moving when they weren't. Essentially, they would take two images of the same thing and like cross over themselves for a frame.
Like offset them a bit. Like yeah. And it was like very jarring. Like I got like dizzy by it. I did not like see it. And we saw it
a lot.
Like in the hallway. There's a bit where like a fish man is like walking all over a bridge, and instead of animating him actually moving, they did this effect, and like they translated him without actually moving his legs.
Yeah, and the weird part about it is that they animated so well and so beautifully for so many parts of the show. I don't know. Oh, also, we never said that this is made by the studio Toei. They make stuff like, you know, One Piece and Digimon and Dragon Ball.
Classic stuff.
You know.
Yeah. They also did bits where, like, as opposed to like having someone run off scene, like run off the screen or whatever, like to go do something, they would just like pop them out of existence.
Yeah.
And they would just be somewhere else. And I was just like, okay. There's times I liked it. There's times I wasn't a fan of it. But I feel like whoever made the choices to like do that, like that motion blur animation and the popping in and out of frames animation, like whoever's call that was, like I feel like they were going for like a certain like style. Like they were like, our animation is going to be different, because they did have very seamless, fluid animation. Like when he went super hardcore and like was going to smash shit or whatever. Like I was like, those were like really clean. But there's times where it's like it looks like they're barely animating. It looks like they're like moving things as least as possible. You know?
Yeah. It felt jarring. It felt strange. But I also feel like people could like that. They could like that look or that effect. But for us, didn't land. It definitely started deterring me from my enjoyment. But then the story brought it all together, and the character designs and the colors. So it really was worth it. This is not a show for everyone. But if you do decide to check it out, you have to at least get through a story, maybe start the second one before making a full judgment, because you get used to animation, you get used to those like weird effects, and then you're able to appreciate the show for what it is.
Also, I didn't go into it knowing anything about this besides seeing the cover art. It is like there's horror elements, right? Like they're supposed to be scary stories. They're usually like revolving around like murder or something like that. So it's not like for like a kid to watch, but it like there is some really like, if not scary, like unsettling shit. Like in the
very much so. Like
the bit, like the one with when they're on the boat. Like there's a lady like gives birth to like this weird mermaid bit, and it terrifies her. This one fucking dude starts spitting up fish. It's just like it is like scary. It's like the cat bit. Like the kid starts like gouging his eyes out. It is. I don't know how to describe it, because like maybe it's like, because I'm not a super horror dude. Like I'm not like, that's not really my vibe.
It's just like surrealist horror stuff.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a lot of Japanese horror is like this. Like it goes that route where it's not just like some dude chasing you with a knife. It's like this really creepy grudge shit. You know, like
it's psychological.
Yeah, like a hand coming out of the top of your head or whatever, like shit like that. Like that'd be terrifying.
So body horror. It's got all different kinds.
So it's interesting that like it looks really pretty, right? Like there's like there's all these vibrant colors and stuff, but don't be surprised when you see like a horrible murder scene. You know, like there's the bit where that dude is just slaughtered to bits, like in a room, and just blood everywhere, and you go, "What the fuck happened?" Or there's people
and then we
that
slowly find out what happened by smelling sandalwood.
Yeah, and I really so speaking about that episode, I really like that bit, especially because like the subtle things, like they were all kind of like muted colors when they were playing this game to smell wood and guess what kind of wood it was.
That was a really cool visual effect. And that was absolutely, I mean,
right? Wasn't it nice? Like they would smell the wood, and then like their physical body would like brighten up with whatever colors they were. Like it would like glow, and then
it would fade away.
Maybe we'd see Yeah, and they would fade away once like they were done inhaling, and like if they remember the smell, like stuff would pop up in the background and like, oh, this takes me to this bit, or this reminds me of my father. And like there's the samurai guy who's like a bumpkin or whatever. He smells the first few and he's like, he didn't really have that effect, and then he smells one and like and the effect happens and he goes like, this smells like horse shit. He's like, I know exactly what this is, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was like, oh, what a like nice little touch of something, little spice, right? To be like, make their color glow for a second and then kind of go away. And like things like rain falling, snow falling, tears falling. They did like this weird like paper things, like pinwheels that would just kind of spin slowly.
Yeah.
That I thought was super nice. I liked his glowy sword, like it was just, it's a feast for your eyes. So that being said, like if you're not really into like artsy stuff, like this might be a hard watch for you. Like I really like the Atomic Galaxy. And it's like, the style is way, way different. So it's like this one of those shows where the style is way different and it's not that traditional anime style. Like it might be a hard sell for you. And that's just what it boils down to. Like if you don't like the way it looks, even we had to get past the weird grainy bit, right?
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
It just might not be for you. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that.
I have something to share with you. So one of the directors, Kenji Nakamura, he made a show that I was thinking about consistently where I'm like, it has this like unique art style. It has these bright colors that remind me of another show, that fishing show with the alien called Suritama, who he also was the director of. Like,
nice.
He directed that 5 years later, and very different stories, different storytelling, but just the really bright, unique feeling visuals. I feel like they were able to show that with the fish really well in Suritama, and I kept thinking about the mesh of colors of Mononoke and comparing it with that in my head. And it's wild to see that he actually did that. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
I also like the intro and outro song.
I don't really care about them.
I like them. I thought they gave me good vibes. They were chill. They were like, it really confused me as to what I was about to watch. So I was like, oh, cool. And then I would watch that. I was like, it's like the fucking Workshop of Fun kind of bit where it's just like the end bits of metal song. It's like, that feels really strange,
Well, I felt like the music, it meshed well with what the show was, the era and all that. But then I would never go and listen to it on my own. And since I have Mushishi to compare it to, I would listen. Way better music. Oh man, the intro's so good of both seasons of Mushishi, and then the outro song just being this like really interesting kind of like background music vibe, and then it goes into the outro and it continues on with that, and it just kind of leaves you to like resonate with what the story was. I feel like this outro comes in really strong. So it doesn't really give you that moment of contemplation of like, what did I just watch here? What was the conclusion or whatever? So that's why I really appreciate, not really spoilers, but I really appreciated the last episode because they ended with such a quick little like cut. Like there was a piece of action and it ended like in the middle of that action. I was like, that feels like a cool point to end this show. And then the outro played, and it felt like very like, yeah, it needs to be just fucking cut off, and this is a good song to just cut it off with. And then afterwards, after the credits, they wrap it up like a little bit more.
It's like a little epilogue at the very end. Yeah.
Which I wish they didn't have that, because I do like those moments of just like, I have to reflect on this for a second here. But then they didn't let you. They told you the rest of the story, and it's just like, okay, whatever, fuck it.
I liked it. I liked the way it ended. I liked the little epilogue at the end where we see those three characters see each other on the bridge. But that's just me. Like for me, I was like, oh, that's nice. I enjoy that. Don't have to think too much. It's done. It's over, and it'll never continue. It's fucking gone forever. Done. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all we really have to say about Mononoke, right?
Yeah, because I mean, any other things that we would say are just like giving context to what we've already spoken about. So we would just be telling the stories and saying the same stuff that we've already said.
Yeah.
Checking this show out, the stories are, of course, really intriguing. That's going to be the part that keeps you there. So if you already knew them, it would be harder to get through some of the more difficult animation to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that if you want to watch, I mean, there's no point of us like going through like all 5 arcs and telling you like what happens. Cause like, that's kind of like the fun part, trying to figure out who the actual monster is or what the deal is, and like yada yada yada.
But I can tell you that I didn't care about the last story, and I didn't care about the middle story, the Faceless Monster. I really didn't care. I liked the first one personally, and I really liked the Sea Bishop. Those were solid.
Was your Sea Bishop one like? Was that your favorite, or did you like?
The smoke one was absolutely my favorite. It was the best.
Okay,
had the best visual representation. It had the best like storytelling behind the characters. I thought
good characters. Yeah.
But with the sea bass one, that one was really intriguing, and that's what like really kept me wanting to watch more of the show. Because I was interested in the first story. I was hooked once I found like the horror elements of it and how it kept like it became Tatami Galaxy, jumping from like, you're in this reality, now you're in this one, and all these people are here, and the walls go on forever, but sometimes they don't. I was like, okay, this is very Tatami of it. But then it and of course this came before Tatami Galaxy. It's just the point of reference that we have. Anyways, then when we got into the Sea Bishop, it became a lot more story driven for each character. To where like, hey, we're all in this, we're all going to learn about each other. But it felt like a bottle episode, you know?
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So then when we got into the Japanese Chimera, the smoke episodes, those were really good because while it did feel like a bottle episode, it also felt like a totally different kind of like, all right, we're having this little competition thing, and we're eliminating each other, and we're figuring out the mystery of how these people died. It felt like very different. It felt like a good twist on a bottle episode, you know?
Kind of felt like Clue. Like there's like, who's the murderer kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit. But then you get into the last story, Goblin Cat, which is a fucking sick name, and it did not deliver for me. I was like, Goblin Cat, there was not enough Goblin Cat. No.
Yeah.
Anyways, that whole story was like a whodunit mystery murder on a train.
And then at one point, no one done it. Because like, and then it's like, wait, maybe someone did done it. It's like, because like I was waiting for a twist. A twist happened. I was like, okay, I'm not really
a satisfying twist. I don't know.
I'm not too jazzed. Yeah, I think I was like, I'm not too jazzed about this twist. But no, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, the way each story worked was a bit different. So like Faceless Monster was interesting because it was about a girl that was trapped in a prison, and he's there with her, and I'm like, okay, so that means that she's got to be the evil one because they're trapped in the same place together. I don't really know. So that story was interesting to see. And then the first story, Zashiki Warashi, nailed it. Zashiki Warashi, being about this hotel that was converted from a brothel, and there's this woman who keeps crying about how she can't be in the streets, she doesn't have any money, but she's pregnant, so if she's out there, not only will they kill her, a woman, but they'll kill a child. So that was a whole conflict, and I liked having that, like, that base in reality while all this crazy shit went on, where I feel like all the other ones are just like, crazy shit's going on right away, you know?
Yeah, I think you did a good job of like explaining the five of them. I liked the smoke one the best. That one I enjoyed the most, and then I think after that would go like the fish one, the one when they're on the boat. I think I enjoyed that one too. That's when I started coming more around to the show. I think the ones I liked the least personally was the baby one and the mask one, right? Like the faceless one, like those two. So I guess that means by default I like the cat one by the third. But I also wasn't super excited about them because that was a 3-part one. I was just like, all right, well, you better fucking keep me, engaged for these 3 parts. And I feel like by part 2, I was like not really feeling it, and then part 3 was just like explaining everything, right? Like just like
I was just
all right, here we go.
I was the least interested in the Goblin Cat stories personally.
Yeah.
I don't know This is a show that's not for everyone, but the people that would enjoy it, like you and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Sierra didn't.
No, Sierra didn't. Whatever. No, Kyle and Sam didn't. That's fine. Yeah. But like the people that enjoyed it, like different parts about it, and like we liked it, but Ryan, who suggested this to us, loves it. Yeah.
So like, it's my favorite show. I was like, cool, man. Like I do like the fact that people are willing to like tell us what to review, especially if they're like super attached to it.
And I love getting exposed to these things that I've never experienced. I don't know shit about it. Like I heard people talking about Mononoke and they're like, it's cool, it's dark, it's unique, and that's all that I heard about it. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. So I think someone else gave us like they really liked what was it? Scientific Railgun. A certain scientific index, one of those two, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, it's so great," and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's okay for you to like it. If sometimes we're just not vibing with it." So yeah, Ryan, good job. We did enjoy it. We obviously don't love it as much as you do. We do have things that we like about it, and we would recommend it to certain people, not everybody. So
I mean, like I said, Eureka 7 is my fucking jam, and a lot of people do not care for it. So we're all in the same boat, baby. Don't worry about it. We just like different shit. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're done with Mononoke. I don't think we'll be reviewing the prequel anytime soon. But next week we're going to be doing, was it The Great Pretender, right? It's not on Netflix now, so if you want to, be able to follow along with this episode, go ahead and start watching it. If not, be surprised next week when we spoil the fuck out of it.
It's true.
Okay, so if you like our theme song, you can check out Tom Nasser on SoundCloud and YouTube. Trip, where can people find us?
You can find us on Facebook. Look up the Instagram Podcast. Same thing goes for Instagram. Look up the Instagram Podcast. If you want to send us a tweet at InstaRamenPod.
Podcast would fit.
And you can shoot us an email, InstaRamenPodcast@gmail.com. We do stream our recordings. I've been saying this for like ever now. But usually it's on Tuesdays around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Not this time, because Juan's teacher decided to pull one over on him. And here we are on Monday night. Anyways, it's pretty cool. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm excited for next week.
For sure. So this is bye from Juan.
See you around from Chris.
Hey, Trip, don't forget.
Just add hot water.